Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Cooking for the Family. I'm Dyvonne and today I'm going to share with you how I made these wonderful red velvet cake cookie bars. Are you ready? Let's get started. These are the ingredients that I'm going to be using, and I also have my cream cheese frosting that I'm going to put on top of my cookie bars, and I'll share with you the recipe for that. So I'm using a 15.25 ounce box of red velvet cake mix. And now if you're going to be using the 13.25 ounce box of cake mix, you're going to make an adjustment to your vegetable oil. So to the 15.25 ounce box that I'm using, I added in a half a cup of vegetable oil. If you're using a smaller box cake mix, you're going to use a third a cup of vegetable oil. Okay? Now I'm going to also add in 2 eggs, and whether you're using the larger box or the smaller box of cake mix, you still want to use 2 eggs. So again, in my bowl, I have the 15.25 ounce box of red velvet cake mix. I have a half a cup of vegetable oil, 2 large eggs, and you want your eggs at room temperature. The room temperature eggs are going to blend much better into your batter. If you are new to my channel, welcome. And if you're a returner, welcome back. On my channel, I love to share what I cook and bake for my family in my kitchen. I love to share a story here and there. I do everything from authentic Mexican cooking that I learned from my wonderful 5 sister-in-laws to down-home Southern cooking as well that I learned from my mother and my aunts. So if you enjoy that kind of content, I hope you consider subscribing. Now, once you have your ingredients in your bowl, I like to use my spatula. I can really press out any chunks of my cake mix, and we're going to be doing a pressing and then a folding, because what you want to do is you want to smooth out your cake batter as much as possible. Now, if you have a little bit of like tiny specks of cake mix, that's okay, because as we cook our cookie bars, it will dissolve into your mix. Now, once we have our eggs are mixed in well, our oil is blended in well, everything is a nice cohesive batter, I'm going to transfer my batter to my baking dish. This is a 13 by 9 casserole baking dish that I'm using. Now I'm using this Pyrex one, and so I'm not going to be putting any spray in it or any oil or butter. If you're using a metal pan, you want to go ahead and spray that metal pan. And that would be with some non-stick cooking spray, baking spray, or either you can just use a little bit of oil and just lightly grease your pan. With my rubber spatula, I even out my batter in my pan. I want to make sure I get all the batter evenly into all the corners and along the sides. And using the spatula is a great way to do this. And so once you have it nice and even, because you don't want one side to be thicker or thinner than the other side. And so just take your time and just press evenly just like that. And you can also get in there with your nice clean hands and just kind of even it out. And so once everything is in the pan, we're going to bake this at 350 for 15 to 20 minutes. Well, our cookie bars are out of the oven. They have baked for 18 minutes. Your cookie bars will puff up slightly and also get slightly brown just around the edges, just slightly. And then they'll also, if you use a tester and you test in the middle, there should be no crumbs on your tester like a toothpick tester. Now for my cream cheese frosting that we're going to put on top for that layer, I'm using 4 ounces of softened cream cheese, nice and soft cream cheese that's at room temperature. Then to that, I'm adding in 6 tablespoons of salted butter. Now if you don't have salted butter, you can use unsalted butter that's also softened, and just put a tiny pinch of salt in there just to kind of balance out the sweetness of the powdered sugar that we'll be adding. So again, you have your 4 ounces of softened room temperature cream cheese. You blend that, then to that you add that 6 tablespoons of softened salted butter. We're mixing those two together. Now once we mix those together, and if you're using a stand mixer like I am, you definitely want to stop your stand mixer and scrape down the sides, because we want to make sure that everything gets captured into our blade of the butter and also of the cream cheese. I'm going to continue to blend my butter and cream cheese together until they become one cohesive color. And you can also use a hand mixer to mix this, as well as making sure that both of your things are nice and room temperature, the cream cheese and your butter. You can also use a wire whisk to whisk this as well. Then I put in my powdered sugar, also confectioner's sugar, and that was 3/4 of a cup. So that was 3/4 of a cup.
of the powdered sugar. Then we're going to put in some vanilla, and we're going to put in a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So again, that was 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar, and then we also put in a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm going to start my mixer on low, and then I'll gently raise my mixer to a medium speed. We're going to be mixing this until the powdered sugar has been dissolved into our cream cheese and our butter mixture, and our frosting will be nice and smooth. And once again, stopping my mixer to scrape down the sides. Now I find this to be plenty of frosting, but if you want a thicker layer of frosting, you can always double the recipe. My cream cheese frosting is done, and this is what you want it to look like. It is nice and whipped and smooth. Now before putting on my frosting, I make sure that my cookie bars are nice and cool to the touch, and I have no heat coming from my cookie bars at all. Then I go ahead and put the frosting on, because we don't want the frosting to melt, so it's important that they're nice and cool. Now once I'm done frosting my cookie bars, I'm going to put them in the refrigerator and let them chill. It's going to be easier to cut them when they're nice and chilled, when the frosting is nice and firm and the cookie bars have chilled up a bit. And this usually takes about 1 to 2 hours. You can also make these cookie bars the day before and have them all ready to go for the next day festivities. While I let my cookie bars chill for a couple of hours in the refrigerator, I went on and cut them into squares. I'm making these to go along with the birthday cake that I made for my little 3-year-old nephew. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share one of these with y'all. I'm going to give you the first bite. Are you ready for your bite? Go ahead and take your bite. Now I'm going to take my bite and see how we did. Wow. These have come out so good. I hope you give this quick recipe a try. I'll have a list of ingredients in the description box below for your reference, as well as my homemade cream cheese frosting recipe. And if you like all things red velvet, I'll put a link to my vlog on how I use a few key ingredients to make a box of red velvet cake mix taste like we made it from scratch. Well, that is it for me today. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, don't forget to show it some love and give it a thumbs up and click share. Share this video with a friend or family. And remember, it's always good when Dyvonne is cooking for the family. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.